So the advisory panel, which I think is amazing, is not my idea, so I can't take credit for it. It was really about pulling together a group of critical friends that could help us make that change. So the idea was to get a number of different disciplines, to get a number of different universities, so we'd get a really balanced approach. And we use them as a sounding board, really. Fundamentally, you have to have a good relationship because it's a partnership. So you have to trust each other. It helps if you get on with each other. And I think the other key thing would be area of interest.
So for me, it was a really exciting way to do research. So it's so different from what is often the conventional way that historians work, where they come up with their topics based on their own kind of independent research interests. I was involved in conversations with partners at different levels in the business right from the outset, coming up with ideas for what research they would find useful to help them do and face the kind of problems and challenges they are facing today. So right from the outset, we had those conversations. We came up with this idea about working on the history of the partnership's pay policy, being able to feed in interim findings, make sure I'm on track, that I'm really focusing on the kind of issues that the business would find useful, and then having at the end the chance to communicate my findings and have that really in-depth discussion about how that research might influence the decisions that are being taken today. So really encourage other businesses to think about these kind of collaborations as ways to mobilise the knowledge that they have held within their archives.
It hugely enriches the research because doing the collaboration, you're in constant dialogue with the archivists about your thoughts about the material, their thoughts about the material, you're challenging each other, you're finding new ways to articulate things, you're throwing ideas around, and it's like a constant seminar on the thing that you're working on, and that's a really productive process. And actually it means the research gets done really, really quickly because you're constantly in dialogue and you're constantly discussing and your ideas are constantly being challenged. I worked on an exhibition with Boots called Inspiring Beauty, number 7, 80 years of making up the modern woman. And the idea was to tell the story of the number 7 cosmetics brand, but also to tell the story of modern women through that. So looking at how the advertising, the packaging, the products, the way it was used, can tell us about how women's lives have changed. So that was my kind of value added bit, the sort of bringing in the context and using this material to tell a social and cultural story.
So I think collaboration as an approach to generating knowledge it's a benefit to the business, but it's really important to note that it's really good for academics too. We're increasingly asked to show how our research benefits wider society. So working with a business is a really good way to do that. And it enables the archivist to offer more to their business, enables me to enrich my research as an academic. Getting the business involved in shaping the agenda makes sure that the research is relevant and it's usable, so I can really go back to my university and demonstrate the ways in which my research is applicable to the kind of problems and challenges today. So it's absolutely something that universities are supporting, and they're even putting resources behind it. So they're often kind of pots of money that academics can access to help fund these kind of things. So I think it really is a win-win for both sides.
Recently there's been interest from the academic sector in the idea of impact and offering students wider skills and having wider outputs from projects. So that's something that we've been trying to feed into proposals, and that's something that we can offer because in the context of working in an archive, we can offer some work skills, and we can also offer the cataloguing of a collection, so picking up those kind of skills, which has huge benefits for us. If it's an uncatalogued collection, it will have great benefit for the student because it will be in their area of interest, so they'll be uncovering material that hasn't been researched previously, and also they will learn those skills. So that's something we've tried to factor in more, those kind of outputs to projects which have benefits on both sides.
It's a little bit convoluted actually. This project was designed by Maria, the head archivist, and my 2 supervisors, and then I applied for this specifically. Corporate archives are a little bit different, and also I wouldn't necessarily have the level of access to the rest of the organisation in the same way I would have if I'd been doing a standard PhD and not been collaborating with Barclays. I didn't have to go in with a clear plan of I'm exactly going to do this. I could go in, figure it out, and then use the access I had, use the little bit more flexibility I had financially to actually figure out what would be the most useful for everyone involved and what I could do that would actually be new.